Okay, so this new video thing, I kind of want to make this into a series, 14 parts. Bosses that you can one-shot. What is one-shotting? One-shotting is going in, seeing the boss for the first time as a group, and fucking destroying it. Claxy destroyed it. Though that fight is arguably really simple, but it places a lot of personal responsibility, which luckily our group has brain cells so we can handle it. So where's my keys? Okay, there's my keys. Almost thought I lost my keys, which would be really bad. So, possible bosses you can one-shot. I'm only doing the heroic modes because normal modes, you can always arguably one-shot a normal mode. First boss that I think is able to be a one-shot, Protectors. I know everyone says Norushen's easy. It hasn't added anything. Yes, Norushen is also in this category. But Protectors is really, really easy. I'm looking at my raid comp right now. 2 druids, a shaman. I think we've still got that new 565 mage, who may or may not be there. Didn't really look for the raid times. Just like, hey, I'm looking for a raiding guild for this mage. Okay, join us. We're getting a raid ready. And they log off. So, okay. There's that. So maybe a mage. 2 warlocks. A frost DK. A windwalker monk. The funky monk. A warrior. And a paladin. Both tanks. Now, why do I think this can be a one-shot? It's depending on how it's handled. This can be really easy. Move forward, hit the boss again. The entire time he can be in Seal of Righteousness. Other tank. Now, poison will be going out random places, so the tanks have to move. But if you're looking at a warrior tank, you've got Cleave. You can literally use an ability called Cleave. It's cool. Plus, you're able to build up shield barrier, shield block, whatever you use to do this. Sun will still be aiming at people with Shasir. So, what do the melee do? What does the DK and the monk do? The DK is going to be on Rook, willfully spreading his diseases, because that's what you want. You want dots on he and maybe even Sun during this time. But you want to get Rook down, so you want to cleave as much as possible, but you don't want people spamming just AoE. You don't want people just doing AoE damage. Like, just rain of fire, rain of fire, rain of fire. Fire and brimstone, fire and brimstone. No. Warlocks. You can build up embers with rain of fire, but do not fire and brimstone. If anything, Havoc He, Chaos Bolt Rook. It's going to work out better that way because the lower he is during this next phase of the fight. It's really important. Windwalker Monks, being the fact that we can copy ourselves, can hit all 3 bosses. Now, what boss really needs contact without any worry of repercussions? With Rook, there's always the chance you might get hit by his stun, which hits for a lot more, arguably a lot more. He will be dropping poisons everywhere. It now drops on random players. Sun can be interrupted, which I'll be doing. I can see the Calamity coming, so I'll be hitting stuff. Now, Calamity hits harder the more that it hits before she's transferred into her next phase. Rook, he keeps throwing his barrels faster and faster. He can stack Gouge. Now, the first one you want down is Rook. He'll go down really quickly, especially with the DPS that our group is able to put. We want to 3-heal this, mainly for the amount of dispels that are needed, and the amount of damage we're going to take from Calamity. So what do? Rook goes down, 3 ads come up. This is difficult. This is really difficult to talk about. We need to do this or we need to do that, because you have to have Gloom interrupted. So you can arguably have all of the ranged interrupting. You can have all of the ranged interrupting Gloom. DK and Monk will be hitting Sorrow because Sorrow doesn't move. Inferno Strike, people are going to stack for it. You can soak it. Certain classes can soak it. A Monk can soak this, but as we're also going to be taking damage from Calamity, I would prefer to not pop a cooldown until it's like, okay, Calamity and Inferno Strike, the fuse magic, no damage. It's fine. So people are going to be taking regular damage. And you don't really want this to last too long because one tank's still on heat. You can arguably say, okay, well, this tank takes heat and misery, this one holds Gloom by Sorrow. Because you've got to turn your back to gouge at the same time you're getting hit with the defiled ground, or you can run through them or whatever people do. And it's more difficult than it has to be. Like, well, how are we going to be hitting all 3? They share a health pool. So the fact that you have a hard-hitting Frost DK, even without AoE diseases, is fine. He can always place Death and Decay, which does some damage, and that's fine. A Monk. As soon as these ads pop, I'm not going to do what I normally do and just place 1 ad on him, continue hitting the other boss. What I'm going to do is place 1 ad on Gloom, 1 ad on Misery, and start beating down Sorrow. That's all I'm going to do, because I'm going to be dealing effectively 160% more DPS. Well, 160% damage as compared to what I normally have, plus the 10 brews of Tiger Eye Brew that are going to be up at that point. So I'm going to be dealing a lot more damage, and those ads are going to be going down faster. Warlocks in range keep interrupting Gloom. I know at this point you'll be like, well, I can Fire and Brimstone AoE, right? No, you never really want to use Fire and Brimstone during this fight because it does use up your embers. Fire and Brimstone uses your embers with lowest DPS. Now, you don't want the DPS gain here. If you want to deal enough damage on these ads at the same time as hitting a boss, then arguably Havoc 1 ad, Chaos Bolt the other. That's all you really have to do. Healers. Keep in mind that tank with both the ads is going to be taking a lot of damage. So is the tank with heat. A lot of damage. Really good thing that we have 3 healers for this. And you're also going to be getting hit with Calamity. I don't see this phase lasting more than 15 to 20 seconds, honestly. Should be able to count it rather quickly. Next one we want to work on is Sun. So we want to do this because Calamity increases in 10% of your health over each time. So it'll start out and hit you for only like 20 or 30 if I'm correct. And I'm disconnected from Battle.net. Okay. So what you want to be doing is while you're working on Sun, you get her down really quick, like before the 4th or 5th Calamity, because at that point when you're taking Calamity, you're taking effectively 60 to 70% of your health in one hit. So if you also have an Inferno Strike, unless people are actively popping cooldowns, you're taking a lot of damage. So we get the ads down. Rook's back up. He's up. You want Sun to go down. So all the DPS is now on Sun. As a Monk, I'm now spreading my clones out again. You can say, well, you want to deal more damage to Sun than to here. Well, kind of, but they're going to be taking less damage during Dark Meditation anyways. Why is this? Why can't we just hold them on the edge? Well, we do have the big adds that need to go down because he's still going to spread his poison. It's a very good chance that it's in the middle. It's in the middle where you have to stack. And Rook is going to do a corruption kick where he charges and he does the spinning crane kick rather quickly. It's just about when Dark Meditation starts. So you want to have everyone kind of over, not so much in the middle. That way when he hits it, you can go and you'll still be in the bubble a bit. But there will be poison on the ground, so please move your feet. Even if you can't see the poison, you get a debuff saying you're standing in it. So move until you're no longer in the debuff. What are the tanks doing at this point? Well, since you guys have more stamina, more armor, more damage reduction, you're going to be outside of the bubble. You're going to be standing next to the big adds. The one with Rook needs to make sure he's not aiming him towards the one with He, because you're going to be cleaving off of each other at the same time trying to avoid getting hit with the Fist of Fury. So you're going to be cleaving off these big adds. And effectively, as a monk DPS, I can set up to where I have Rushing Jadewind, and I'm also hitting the big adds plus the boss. This hopefully leads us to getting He quicker. Now, if at some point I screw up and we do end up setting off 2 phases at once, that's my bad. I will have to do something about it. Or we need to have people stop having chaos bolting every time and know that it's only needed for certain points. So these big adds need to go down because everyone's taking damage. Tanks are taking slightly more, but still taking damage. Everyone's taking damage, and the tanks can handle a little more. So the longer we get this down, the quicker everything goes by. And Rook will immediately corruption kick right after this phase, almost guaranteed. So then you want He down. Well, it's really easy. You don't need to cleave for He. But there is one new trick that you have to know for this phase. Because in normal, in flex, in LFR, it's a 20% armor reduction, and you can pass that off to a tank, no problem. But being as this group now has 2 tanks that are heavily reliant on armor, you don't want to do that because it's an 80% or 90% armor reduction. So you want to pass it to the different DPS. But there's also an added thing about this. Each time you pass it, people get the stacks. So, it's shadow damage. Okay, it's shadow damage. You guys, Warlocks, you can Twilight Ward this. I think you can Twilight Ward this. I really hope you can. It's magic damage as well. So anti-magic shell, anti-magic zone for the DK. Mage, ice block. Monk, Zen meditation. If I have to, I will use Zen meditation the entire time, hoping I don't have, and I won't have gouge on me, so I won't have any kind of physical damage constant. We need to just pass it between the DPS and maybe a healer if you guys have some kind of cooldown to keep you up. So if you popped Symbiosis on me, then you use your cooldown and then use Tranquility. Might be enough. Hopefully we don't get to the point where the healer has to take it. Because again, once that ad pops out, I'm not going to be having clones on the boss. I'm going to put 1 clone on that ad and start beating on it as a monk. Why would I do this? It's 140% extra damage as opposed to the 160 or something like that. It's more damage than I would actually be doing. Touch of Karma or something. You're still going to be taking Calamity during this as well, but Calamity has now reset along with Corruption Brew, or Corrupted Brew or whatever. So we down He, then we lather, rinse, repeat. We do that one more time. When they're all down to about 5%, we gather them up again. Now, one trick that I've learned, because I used to tank Rook, is every time he would pop up from the ad phase, hold him towards Sun. What you would do when you pull him towards Sun, there will be poison on the ground, but you can avoid it. You can completely avoid the poison on the ground. You can still get your cleave off. You can still do that stuff. Now, be it you only have 3 targets, so Seal of Righteousness as a pally may not be the best. You'll probably go Seal of Truth again. Maybe Seal of Insight for a little extra healing. But you'll still be hitting. You still want to deal some damage because these guys have a lot more health. A lot more. I think I was doing like 240k where I saw the monk at, and I saw some people at 300 and higher. A group can do it. When you get them down about 10%, bring them together and hero. That is where it's okay to cleave and AoE as much as you fucking want. You're still going to be taking Calamity, yes. You're still going to be taking the possibility of the Fist of Fury, yes. So all that tank has to do is make sure nobody stands behind him like an idiot. You're still going to be taking Gouge, yes. Turn your back, do whatever. Hit the fucking boss. I'm going to immediately, as soon as this happens, pop my clones, Rushing Jade Wind, like everything, like Tiger Power, up. Rushing Jade Wind, up. Rising Sun Kick, up. Get my bleeds on him with Blackout Kick, up. Tons of damage, tons of AoE. I've achieved the fucking meters if it means downing this boss. Hoping for a world ranking. Just kidding. We doubt it. It's one shot. That is possible. It is very possible with information that I've provided you here and information that's available in the Dungeon Journal and on videos, guides of killing this boss. You can do it. That's not the most conventional way, but it's the way that we kind of found. Yeah, it's not the exact strategy I used either, because in my strategy, we had the tank with he also taking Misery, and then we had the other tank take Gloom, but not next to Sorrow, because, who wants to cleave, right? And just beating down on that, and, stacking for Inferno Strike, popping cooldowns when appropriate, and all that fun stuff. What do you guys think about the fact that Protectors is essentially a one-shotable boss? Because it doesn't add anything new. There's no actual new mechanic. It's buffed up mechanics and abilities that are still being used. It's no new thing, so it's technically the old fight, just a different prio list. What do you think? Could this take off?